Hello and welcome. Thank you again for joining me tonight. Tonight we're talking about vanity, the superficial confidence. It's easy to get confused the difference between being vain and being confident. So tonight we want to talk a little bit about the superficial confidence, which is vanity. This is video 2 of a 3-part series on being confident in your skin, or being comfortable in your skin, loving who you are in spite of the flaws. As I've said before, these video Facebook Lives are just a spinoff of my book, Recreating a Better Me. Recreating a Better Me. I believe that being comfortable in your skin is chapter 8 of the book. And if you haven't already got a copy of that book, which is available on one of 3 formats, you can find my book on Amazon, or you can go to one of my 3 websites, and there should be instructions there on how to get your copy of that book. So again, I appreciate you taking out the time to be with me tonight as we're talking about vanity, the superficial confidence. I say superficial because it is not confidence, and so often we get those confused. So I hope after tonight you will actually understand the difference and start making the necessary adjustments. If you're here with me, go ahead and like and share this video. I'd appreciate that. And we will get started. And first, I'd like to just kind of define for you what vanity is. Because we hear that, and if we mention the word vain to our children, a lot of times they don't understand what it is to be vain, because in the world of selfies and technology and social media now, this word has somehow slipped our vocabulary. So for tonight, the way I interpret being vain or vanity is to have an excessive belief in your own ability and or in your beauty. And that can go any direction. So to have an excess in your own ability, you're so good at something that you minimize the ability of others because you feel like this is something that you just excel in, and it's you and only you. And on the flip side of that, when it comes to beauty, which is where I see a lot of us today fall into this category, is that we feel like our beauty is so unique or so different that we're puffed up in that feeling of beauty that we esteem ourselves high while trying to minimize the beauty or the uniqueness of someone else. I hope that that definition of vanity has been made plain to you, and so that you understand how we can confuse the difference between vanity and confidence. Confidence is being certain in who I am, in my ability, in my beauty, or my looks, without causing someone else or with the motive of making someone else feel inferior or less than because maybe their level of confident ability or beauty don't match mine. It's not a competition at that point. It's that I do what I do well. I'm certain of that. I do it in my own unique way. But yet, you also have a ability and beauty, and you stand firm in that you do as well. And so, therefore, we're team players. We're not opponents at that point. Okay? So, thank you for joining me. I see some of you just logging on. And if you are, go ahead and like and share this video. I just attempt to make a distinguishment between vanity and confidence. Vanity, has its own set of characteristics. And the characteristics of vanity are like light and darkness when it's compared to confidence. Vanity is pride, or being proud or proudful about something. One thing about it is that vanity is the expression of things on an outward platform. Confidence is that we hold on an inward platform. Okay? So exterior things that puff us up in pride, such as the clothes we wear, what's popular now, the eyelashes that we put on that enhances our beauty so much, the makeups, the time and money and efforts that we spend with our hair, fixing our hair up to look a certain way, the labels on our handbags and our shoes and our clothes, and living in a particular neighborhood. All of these things are okay when put into context, but it's when we take those things out of context and they become so necessary in defining who we are, then at that point it becomes vain. It's vanity. It's a superficial confidence at that point, because when you strip yourself or move yourself of all of that, this image or this facade that we have created, then you have to take into account and look at who you really are. So I am me, and I am confident in my ability and my beauty when I remove the makeup, when I remove the eyelashes, when I take the hair off, when I put on a $2 shirt, when I have a $3 handbag, when I'm wearing a $5 pair of shoes. I am still confident in who I am, because who I am was not determined by all of this glam that I portrayed to the world in this superficial image that I created. Okay? Vanity lacks real value. So that means that when our life is based upon vain things, we possess no real value. So what I find is that when you don't have real value, something solid to stand on, you find yourself being drawn to whatever appeases your senses. So you're like the wind, in whichever way it blows, you follow. Because you have no real value, no real content to stand on. You can't be trusted. Because the next one that comes and tells you how pretty you are, or give you attention, you're going to flow to that. And then someone that looks a little better or speaking a little better, you're going to flock to that. And so you're just unstable. So when you flip that and you look at confidence, confidence is rooted and grounded in the values and morals and ethics of life. There are some things that I just won't compromise with. And my character is one of them. I take pride in being an honest person. I take pride in being loyal to my spouse. I take pride in being a supportive mom to my children. There are just some things that I value and I will not compromise. Right? So that value is a firm reflection of the character and person that I am. And that's not something always noticeable on the outside. That comes from the inside out. Okay? So if you find yourself with no real value, you're lacking that, and you're unstable in compromising on your values or your morals, then it's probably because you're leaning on the side of vanity rather than confidence. Vanity is being conceited. And I see a lot of this portrayed through social media. You know, if it wasn't from social media exposing so many of us, we wouldn't know who you are. But being that you portray so much of your personal life on the social media outlets, we on the outside looking in form opinions about whether or not you're vain or whether or not you're actually confident. Okay, we formed that. Remember how we talked about how the mind works? So conceitedness is you trying to make me assume or portray an image or a impression that you got it going on because of all the glitter and glam, because of who your family is, because of the neighborhood you live in, because of the degree that you have hanging on the wall, because of your businesses that you have, because you're able to eat at the finest restaurants and things like that. So you're trying to make me believe that you've got it going on, and you portray all this image before people to see. But what we don't see is that when you're actually in your quiet space, that you're worried and stressed out over all the debt that you've incurred, and that you're unfulfilled in your relationships, and that your businesses are not really doing as well as you want us to believe that it's doing. And the real reason why you're posting all these beautiful, explicit pictures on the social media is because you're unfulfilled in your relationships, and you don't really see yourself as being as beautiful as you would like people to think you are, because you look for people to affirm you. But confidence doesn't need for the outside to affirm who they know they are on the inside. I hope that you guys are seeing the difference here. And if you are, go ahead and hit that like button. And also feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section. Okay, so there's a difference. Being conceited and puffed up in ourselves that we're good with just making someone think something that is not so. So confidence doesn't need affirmation from anybody else. We can affirm ourselves, right? We can affirm ourselves. We don't need that from someone else. Another thing is that vanity struggles with self-approval. People that are vain really don't like themselves. They really don't like who they are. They really don't like the way they look. That's why they try so hard to change it. They really don't enjoy their life. Their focus is convincing you that they are enjoying their lives. A young man or a young woman, or even some of us older ones, I'm just saying that because it's just what's coming to my mind. And I don't know who's watching this or listening to me, but you cannot convince me that you are confident in yourself and that you are so secure and self-accepting if you're putting harmful substance in your body. It doesn't work that way. That's not the way life works. If you have to have a smoke or a drink or to snort something or to inject something into your body to feel good about yourself, that's not confidence. That's superficial. Because what happens at that point, when you lose that high, or when you don't have that adrenaline flowing from whatever that is that you're putting in you, you're still struggle with the man in the mirror. And I hope that I have made that clear without really offending anybody. Because I know it's not just young people who struggle with this. Some of us older ones struggle the same way. Some of us are still running and hiding and dipping and scheming and popping pills and getting our drinks and whatever else we is. Anything to alter the chemistry of this chemical balance of this mind, we're still there. Right? And so it's because we have this superficial confidence that when I have this substance, it's giving me the false security that I love myself or that I can forget about my problems. And that ought not be so. Because in reality, all we're doing at that point is just creating issues. We create them. So if you're struggling with self-acceptance, accepting who you are, and accepting that you're unique and that's just the way God made you, then you're on the other side of confidence. Because a confident person will accept themselves, flaws and all. They accept that, yes, they haven't always done things right. They accept the fact that they made some bad decisions years ago that affects their lives today. They accept all of this, but yet they appreciate who they are, and they don't look at it as a barrier, but they use it as a stepping stone to develop themselves and to get to where they desire to be in life. They use it as learning experiences and as testimonials and as power tools to help encourage someone else that may be struggling in the areas that they've overcome. It's nothing to be ashamed about. We all have flaws, right? We all have things in our family that we're confronted with that could cause shame if we let it. But being confident understands that none of that matters because we're not in competition with anybody. We're not. We are who we are, and that's enough. And in those things where we fall short, if it be God's will, we change those the best we can. But otherwise, if it's a thorn in our flesh that we have to live with until the day we take our last breath, that's okay too. Don't forget, guys, if you have a comment, please leave it in the comment section. I'd love to address your comment. And also, if you have a question, please go ahead and put your question in the comment section as well. I'll address it as soon as I can. Get to it. Vanity is an unhealthy balance between your worth and your beauty. It is an unhealthy balance between what you're worth and your beauty. I put out a post last week sometime, I think, that said, young ladies, you are more than your lips, your thighs, your hair, your eyelashes, something to that nature. And I meant what I said. You are more than that. If you are those things, what happens as you age and those things fade away? So I'd rather you know now that you are more than that and that you have worth, so that if you can do those things, good. But even if you can't do those things and afford those things, then you still know that you have worth. If we raise a generation of kids that think that their worth is built in to what they look like, into the substances that they can consume, into the labels that and the brands that they can wear, if we raise a generation like that, where does that leave our legacy when we're dead and gone? Where is our hope when those things are no longer available? Or when they're put into situations to where now they don't have these things or can't afford these things, or that they begin to lose as a result of trying to consume these things. So we have to have a healthy balance there. But what I find is that we have vain parents raising vain kids and speaking negative things into their environment. Not only that, we have a vain society entertaining our kids with vain content, and it's all image driven. At the end of the day, it's all after your mind. So if you don't have the confidence to know that in spite of all these things, you still possess worth, you still have your character, you still have value, then we lose a generation. We lose all the things that we've worked so hard to obtain, because we don't have that balance, right? Parents, did you realize that when you speak negative words to your children, do you realize the effects that that have in the impressionable mind of a child? Do you know when you tell that child that they're ugly, or they're worthless just like their dad, or why don't you fix your hair so you'll look worth something, or whatever it is that we tell our children that we know it's not right, but it's because we have this superficial mindset of our own, and we esteem ourselves higher and make somebody else feel lower. Do you know it takes someone coming to say 16 more positive things to undo that one that you did? And a lot of times, a lot of parents are going in debt, going to the borrowing money and living in poverty to keep up this image, to keep our children in name brand clothing at an early age. We're talking about children that can't even walk and talk yet. So we instill all this superficial stuff in them that causes us more hardship down the line. That's vanity, guys. I know as a parent raising my girls, that's one of the things that people thought about me. They thought that I would shower my girls with all these name brand things and images and brands that they probably assumed that I could afford. But I've never been one that wanted to worship those brands. Did you know that when you buy name brand things, which everything we have has its is a brand, it's its own image. But did you know that when you go out and you purchase all these high-end stuff, that what you're doing is buying into their image? And we buy all this stuff, but do we really know what that brand name really stands for? Do we really take into consideration the charities and the political views that they support? And when you make these purchases on these things, you're buying into that. You're buying into a name, a character. And we go into debt behind this stuff. All because we have this superficial confidence called vanity. I find that I can be who I am and feel confident in who I am in a room full of scholars. I can be confident in who I am in a room full of millionaires. I can be confident in who I am by being the only one who's not carrying around a Michael Kors handbag. I can be confident in carrying around an Android phone. Who I am is not dictated by the things that I consume that are so superficial. I'm still confident. And that's not to say that I boast with pride. That's just simply saying that I stand firm in what I believe. I stand firm on my values. There are some things that I just will not compromise with. And I don't have to sell my soul to get your approval of who I am. Because basically, that's what we do. We sell our soul for an image, for a facade, something that will fade away. And then what we find is that we have all these habits and unnecessary stress and things that people can't see us from judging us by the things that we put out there for them to judge and see. I think it vain that we have no privacy anymore. When I can look and stroll through social media and know everything that's going on in your household and where you've been and what you ate and who you're with, I find that vain. Who are you trying to convince at that point that you're living the life? I find it vain that we can't have a 20-minute conversation without your phone blowing up every 20 seconds. Who are you trying to gain approval from at that point? I find it heart-wrenching that you can't dedicate or commit an hour of your day to work on you and your dreams and your goals and your aspirations because you're trying to appease everybody. It's something wrong with that. So at that point, we have to ask ourselves the hard question: are we vain or are we confident? And I can tell you, if we're leaning on the side of vanity, we're not going to be confident and comfortable in our skin because they are opposers. The only way we can cross over to being confident and comfortable in the skin that we're in is when we ride on the side of confidence. Because it is that confidence that keeps us grounded and keeps us from selling our souls and seeking approval for someone else. Because if I look for you to affirm who I am, then it's dependent on you whether or not I become who I am created to be. Right? And I don't want anyone to have that much control over me. My creator gave me a will to think it as I will. Right? He doesn't force me to do anything. But the closer the relationship I have with him, the more like him I become. And so my will lines up with his will. But to give another person that much control, it's superficial. I hope that I have made this so clear to you so that you understand the difference between vanity and confidence. I hope that in spite of it all, you know that whereas vanity has to make someone else feel inferior, that confidence It's opposite. Confidence lifts others up and empowers them. So if you don't take anything else away from our discussion tonight, you understand to always, in whatever you do, in the things that you consume, in the goals that you set out to achieve, check your motive. Is your motive to do these things or to show these things or to portray these things based on making someone else feel inferior? Or is it so that you use it to lift someone else up and empower someone else? Okay? That will help keep you grounded. That would help to keep whatever it is that you set out to do into perspective. Okay? All right. I thank you guys for tuning in with me tonight. I sure appreciate the sacrifices that you made. Tonight is the last night to get your name entered into our Easter basket giveaway. And I'm so delighted that you're here, and I have gotten some great feedback on our entries into the Easter basket giveaway. And so tomorrow night we'll draw and be able to see who's the winner of our Easter basket giveaway. So tonight, what your challenge is to share with me on one of my 3 websites. You'll see the Easter basket giveaway tab where you can enter. Go to one of my 3 websites and tell me what your takeaway is from tonight's conversation. So you're going to share with me what you're going to take away from tonight's conversation. Vanity, the superficial confidence, learning the difference between what is vain and what is confidence. I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow night on our 3 of 3 ending this series, and also giving away our Easter basket.